You must be careful about the words you use, or the words you allow to be used in your house. Words are things. You must be careful. Careful about calling people out of their names, using racial pejoratives and sexual pejoratives and all that ignorance. Don't do that.
It's time to talk about it.
Pull up a chair and take a seat.
We're serving up recipes for life.
With Hampton University's Dr. Richard Mason and Dr. Tamara Williams.
Welcome to the Sunday Brunch.
This is Dr. Tamara Williams.
And this is Dr. Richard Mason. Welcome to another edition of Sunday Brunch.
Indeed, indeed.
It's good to see you, and welcome back to the table.
Thank you. You know we always say it's good to be seen and not viewed.
That's right.
It is good to be seen and not viewed. So many people did not make it to the table this week.
Exactly.
Some by purpose and some not by purpose, you know, but they didn't make it. So I'm glad that we were able to make it.
Yeah, thank God I'm here.
It's been a great week.
A busy week, but a great week.
Every week is a busy week.
Hey, I always say another day on this side of the dirt, you got another chance to get it right. So it's always good.
It's always good until it's bad, right? It's good until it's not. And then I like that we get to make choices. And so I've been working this week, my mindset is being more purposeful about my thinking and being more purposeful about what my day is going to look like. So I've been kind of claiming some things in the beginning to see if that makes a difference.
That's right. You know, I always tell people you have to choose to be happy.
That part.
Yeah, you know, because your attitude and your mood is certainly a choice.
It's a choice.
You know, you can't always be what happens to you. You have to make a choice to be an overcomer and make decisions.
And we can't match energy. But you know a lot of us get caught up in that.
Hey, now don't get me wrong.
I know.
Don't get me wrong
I know
now.
who I'm dining with this morning.
Okay, all right. Don't get me wrong now. I just had a good word too, but don't get me wrong. But yeah, sometimes some folks need to get got. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, they're not ready for all of that today at the table. They are not ready for what you just said. But I just need you not to do the getting.
Yes,
okay,
yes,
definitely so.
Definitely so. I just pray on it.
Jesus.
I let God move.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And just watch. That's what I do. I turn it over to Jesus.
Keep your peace and let the Lord fight your battles.
That's what Yolanda Adams said. All right, the battle is not mine, it's the Lord's. All right. That's what she said. I heard the song.
And I like that we get to have those conversations because we realize the difference between the shoulds that we get caught up in. You should be this, you should be that. And then we recognize the reals of what we actually are.
Exactly. And I just want to recognize the real because the real sitting right here at the table was recognized by her students as the professor of the year. That's all I'm going to say. So kudos to Dr. Tamara Williams being recognized by the students. And, you know, that's a real honor. You know, when the students take the time to really make the decision and say, hey, this is our professor, that says a lot about who you are. So thank you for what you do every day for our students at Hampton University.
Thank you. I'm not usually at a loss of words.
No, you sure are not.
Words, but I can tell you that they rendered me speechless because I don't do what I do for that specifically. And so I was just in the middle of a lecture, just doing what I normally do any other day. And so for them to come in to acknowledge that, it was nice to know that I'm learning from them, they're learning from me, and that they're as invested in their education as I am, and that they can see in me that I really do care about what they learn and their trajectory. I want them to be their best selves. So just like I say good people, I start my classes with good people because that's what I wish for them to be, good people. So I'm thankful that they see that, and it's nice to see it from your students. They keep me signing my contract.
Well, and that's a good thing. And they recognize, you know, students, I'm always talking about folks in education because your students can recognize when you're there because you want to be there and when you're there just because it's a paycheck. It's an ends to a means, you know, or means to an end, whichever way you want to look at that.
Hello, somebody. I can tell you that I don't do it for the income. I do it for the outcome. And that's what keeps me showing up even when it's difficult, because we're all in education essentially. So you know that every day is not your best day, but you have to make a choice to try to make it as good as it possibly can be. And I feel like I'm at my best when I'm in the classroom.
Exactly.
I feel I'm happiest when I'm able to share what I've learned and I actually see them receiving it, and more so when they like show me what they're doing with it. It's a beautiful feeling.
And these are the experiences that our students will remember. And so it is, even when they get out into their careers and into their families and, life's journeys, they'll remember their time here at their home by the sea. And they're going to remember all of the great things that Dr. Williams said. You'd be surprised. Well, you're not surprised because, of course,
they come back and tell
exactly
me,
homecoming.
I'm so thankful. Yes, and other times, and they just pop up out of nowhere sometimes. And in a lot of them, because I teach in psych, they go into the fields, and so I see them and experience that with them at times. And they're really, we have some great students. We have some great students, and if you care for them, it's very obvious that they will step in there right there and care right back.
Exactly. And so
thank you for that acknowledgement, but that is not why I do what I do. So it was a good surprise, and they messed around and almost made me cry. They almost pulled a few tears
not
because
some waterworks from you.
Listen, a lot of educators, they have they're very rigid in their classroom structures. Like you must be here on time, and I do believe that we should teach our students to be on time. But I'm also a different type of educator where I'm concerned about your well-being, and I'm concerned that you made the effort to get there. So if you can make the effort to get into the classroom, I want to make the effort to open the door and reach you where you are. And you don't know what people go through just to get to the classroom sometimes. So.
That's that social emotional aspect.
You know what I'm saying? So the student walked in my classroom, and she was super late, but she was coming with an award, and she was just standing up there, and do you need a chair? Can we assist you? She's like, I'm here to give you an award. Oh, an award? What kind of award? She's the best professor. So the students start clapping. I voted for you, Dr. Williams. I voted for you. And so it's different when you feel that type of love. They're invested. Which brings us to our conversation today. Because we're going to have a conversation about education.
Exactly.
It's not everyone should be educated, but everybody can't be an educator.
Oh no, I
or
believe
educator.
I believe it's truly a calling.
It is.
It is truly a calling, and when I meet educators who are called, I can feel it because I can hear their passion.
Get a little tingle, don't you?
Oh yes, yeah. And you get excited to talk to them about what they're doing in the classroom, and it's the innovation that they bring to the art of teaching. And that's
the passion, the love, the commitment, because you don't feel like it every day. Let's go ahead and be honest. We don't do things based on how we feel. We have to do things based on our commitments, what we commit to do. And so the real educators realize that they're not going to wake up every day in the same mood.
Right.
But they still have the same job to go out there and make people learn.
Exactly. And I tell anyone, when folks come in and, for therapy and they're talking about their job, my question is always the day that you wake up and you decide, hey, do I really want to go to work? And you have to convince yourself to go to work. It's time to really start planning a career change, because that means you've lost that passion for what it is that you're doing. So, and it's okay.
And teaching is sometimes a thankless job. And so it's a lot of teachers who don't. I'm thankful that I got recognized by the students, but there's a lot of teachers out there doing that hard work who may never get recognized in that way. And so you have to really be committed to want to do that.
Exactly.
When no one else is looking, when nobody else is watching, when they expect way less.
Exactly.
And demand way more.
We know how that is.
Ooh. Preaching to the whole table. To the whole table. But I'm thankful. And I'm glad that we get to have this conversation about education. Because when we know better, we do better.
There you go. Well, I'm going on up to the table. You know where I'm headed.
I already know you're headed to the buffet.
All right. And I got you covered, because I know the only real thing that make you cry is that honey butter and them biscuits. So I'll be back.
One more thing.
Bacon.
There it is. I'm so glad you know me. I'm so glad it's nice to be at a table where people understand you when you arrive. You don't have to express yourself or explain yourself. It's just understood.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. So
good,
I'll be back.
Good energy, good company,
Exactly.
good food.
I'll be back. I'll let you get started with that guest.
Yes, I want to welcome to the table, to the Sunday brunch table, Adrienne Bracey. Adrienne Bracey is a somewhat native, I would like to say, to the area. She's been in the area for quite some time. We'll get a chance to talk to her about that, but she is a true educator. She's not new to this education game. She is true to this education game, but she's even changed it up a little bit. So I wanted to have the conversation also about how we can start in some places and we can continue to grow and evolve. And once we get into a field, opening up the ideas that you can be more than one thing and that you don't have to just be where you started, but you can still wrap it in the love of education. But I wanted you to come to the table, invite you to the table, because it's a topic that we haven't talked about in education is our children and that need for those foreign languages. We know that sometimes they get the option to go into band, early on in middle school. They may get the option to do a foreign language. They may get the option to do choir or some things. And so I wanted to have a conversation for those who may not know the necessity of learning languages outside of yourself or being more than just what you've seen. So welcome to the table, Adrienne Bracey. Welcome to the table.
Thank you so much, Dr. Williams. I really appreciate you and inviting me here this afternoon. As I sit at the table with you guys and we dine together. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. And the spread is amazing. Amazing.
People tend to say that.
But like you said, yes, I have been an educator for over 23 years. I've taught Spanish in this community to our wonderful children, and I've watched how the need of knowing a second language is increasing every year. And even for the public, if you pay attention when you go to Walmart, Food Lion, and just listen to the conversations that are being held or had around you, you'll notice there are more people speaking in foreign languages than there are in English. If you watch TV, commercials are now in Spanish. Even Wavy TV 10 is advertising that they do their news broadcasts in Spanish. So we're making leaps and bounds around us for the foreigners, but us as natives here in Norfolk, in the Tidewater community, I don't believe we're doing enough to educate us so that we can communicate with the influx of children that are coming from Spain, Mexico, in Europe.
How did you, a brown girl on this, literally, this is Women's History Month. How did you get into that specifically? That's not something that's typically encouraged for us. So what made you feel like Spanish was your thing, or what made you feel like you could even instruct anyone in Spanish, or how did you come about that goal?
Initially, military brat.
Okay.
Yeah. So my father was in the Navy, and we lived abroad in Cuba.
Okay.
And so while we were living in Cuba, I went to school on the base, but my babysitter was from Honduras, and she only spoke Spanish to me. So I would go to school, and I'd come home and be underneath her care for about 3 or 4 hours, completely in Spanish. And then when we came back to the States, I had already had a footing in Spanish, and that was unheard of back in the 1980s for you to speak English and Spanish in a home. So when I entered high school, the first time they offered me Spanish, and the Spanish teachers up there talking in Spanish was like, "You don't know what you're saying," because she was not as native as the lady that wrote, was my babysitter.
She was speaking textbook language.
She was doing textbooks language, like, bueno, ¿cómo estás? Estamos aquí. Exactly. Until I met another brown girl. I'll never forget her, Dr. Violet Hoyle. She was my Spanish teacher over in Virginia Beach, and she came in that door, and she spoke nothing but Spanish from the start to the end, and I said, I have found my home. She was amazing, and at that moment I realized I want to be a Spanish teacher.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So you were in high school.
I was in high school.
And you discovered, did she talk to you about becoming a Spanish teacher? Did she give you any instruction with that, or you?
The way she came in and commanded attention to that room by using a second language was all I needed. I mean, those kids were running to beat the bell to get in her classroom and sit down. You had to hurry up and take your notebook out and have your pencils ready and start the bell work. And she spoke no English from bell to bell. None.
Which is really interesting. When I went to Spelman and I took a Spanish class, our instructor did the very same thing. He only spoke Spanish from the beginning to the end. The struggle was real.
It is. It was.
I was like, no habla español? He's like, still no habla español? He's like, yes.
Figure
Same
that
thing.
out.
You had to real quick.
Yes.
Because your grade was on the line. You better
What?
participate.
My roommate was a Spanish minor, so she assisted a sister and helped me understand what he was saying, because for me, that was the struggle, that he was only speaking Spanish. But for some people, that's being inundated in the language is what really makes them learn.
Yes.
Right, you got immersed into it.
Yes. But think about it. So I have, in my new role, I have many kids that are coming from Central America, and they show up here to a school where no one's speaking their language. They're dropped off in geometry class, algebra class, chemistry,
English
biology,
class, yeah.
English class.
Yeah.
And everybody around them is speaking in English. Not only are they asked to understand what's being said to them, but to learn it, answer questions, produce work, and be graded on that information.
And be social.
And to be social.
Yeah.
And you know, there are nuances in language that are not written in books.
Our English language is messed up in many ways.
Well, we have slang in English, so why
Yes.
wouldn't you expect there to be slang in foreign languages?
Of course. Of course.
Yeah. And it's definitely
And just the
there.
meaning of our words, the spelling of our words,
Everything.
it's not consistent
It
in the
is
English
not.
language.
English is the hardest language to learn because we don't have any rules that are consistent.
So do you still speak Spanish then in your home?
No, I tried that with my children, but they did not allow me. I tried really hard.
You needed a nanny.
I needed a nanny. I mean, and it's crazy because my kids would call me madre instead of mom, which is mother in Spanish. But that's it.
That's it.
That's it. They won't. They took Spanish in high school. When they need help, they come home and see me, but that's it. They refuse. I tried.
Interesting.
I asked you that on purpose because I'm not seeing a lot of our children grasp onto foreign languages. I'm not seeing a lot of them jump and race to grab that. And what I'm hearing from you is that it helps in your humanity. It helps you in your service to your students. It helps you to expand and help other people feel as if they are a part of our community. And it also seems like it sets you apart from some other teachers because you have a skill that some others may not have.
It does. It's a wonderful skill set to have. And the fact that you mentioned that I am a brown girl, when I start communicating to these wonderful children in their native tongue, you should see them stop, pause, look at me in amazement, and then their face change to thank you so very much. Now I can be myself and
The shock,
communicate with
though,
you.
right?
Exactly. But that initial shock is like,
You say what? Yeah. Who taught you?
Who told you that you can speak my language to me?
Yeah. And
But-
well.
But now that you are speaking my language,
Come talk to me.
Come talk to me. Exactly. Come to the table.
But it's
Let's
a feeling
talk.
of being understood.
Seen and heard.
That's all
yeah.
anyone wants to be is understood.
It is. It is.
Heard.
That's exactly
Seen
right.
and recognized.
That's exactly right.
The language barriers could make anybody anxious.
It
being
does.
somewhere you don't know
It
if you don't
does.
understand what's being said.
And then not to be able to have the words in order to communicate to someone in a second language how you're feeling.
your needs, your basic needs.
Your basic needs. You know, small things. You know, I need to go to the restroom. Okay, now I have to figure out how to say this in a second language. I just got here. I'm having an emergency. Just small things that you just don't have to think about because you only speak one language. But when you're bilingual and one language is stronger than the other, but you want me to communicate to you in my second language, it's very difficult. Very
Yes.
difficult.
So how did you manage to get out of the classroom? It seems like they needed you in the classroom.
Oh, well, you and Dr. Mason were talking about how teaching can be a thankless job. So that's exactly what happened.
You didn't feel appreciated.
I did. Well, not from the children. I love the children. The children love me, and I miss them. When it came time for me to move from the classroom, they were the only thing that was holding me to say, no, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay.
I know that feeling.
Because I love when they come back during homecoming. Oh, Miss Tracy, you're still here. I'm so glad you're here. I wanted to tell you. Da-da-da-da-da. I remember you told me this and da-da-da. So that was the only thing that held me back. But my administration at my old building made it difficult for me to stay there. So that is why I decided to step out. And now I'm a graduation coach elsewhere, and I love it.
Awesome.
I love it.
And that's a definitely needed area.
Yes.
Because
They need some coaching.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, and sometimes students find themselves in a bad situation based on sometimes things that have happened to them and their circumstances. And we still want to be able to give them an opportunity to get it right.
Correct.
And sometimes they just need that person who really cares.
Exactly.
And not necessarily.
And will be consistent.
Yeah, and consistent. But care is really about their future.
Yes.
Because right now they can only think about what's happening right now.
Yes, sir.
Because right now is a lot.
It
Yeah.
is. And that's another thing that we sometimes turn a blind eye to in education is that even though that is a child, they are dealing with some adult things at home. I can't tell you how many doors I have knocked on and have just been in complete shock that you're going through this every day and you come to school. First of all, thank you for coming to school. If you need anything, call me. I'm coming to get you. We're going to McDonald's, whatever.
Right.
So it's, I don't know. Like you said, I just, every time some of my children come to school, I just get emotional. I'm so thankful to have them there.
That is awesome. That is really awesome. And so when I look at a graduation specialist, and the work that is being done in that area, you have to have that sense of social emotional learning. That's one of the big things that I talk about often.
Right.
Because like you said, I look at all of the adverse childhood experiences that our kids are faced with sometimes. And these are the things that are out of their control, and it's there's no feeling like being out of control. I liken this to the thrill of a roller coaster ride. The reality is, do you want to feel like you're on a roller coaster every moment of your life? That's not a good place to be.
Every now and then it might be exciting, but every day?
No.
Every day. Not being in control, being tossed to and fro. And other people being in control of what happens to you is not a good feeling.
Correct.
And so the work that you do in terms of being out there in the community, working with them, what are some of the greatest challenges that you've seen in this area?
Did you see her face?
Yeah.
It must be so many challenges.
It's so many challenges. I mean, from them not having food to eat at home, to them having children that they're taking care of, to them having parents who have mental illnesses themselves that they have to work to support. That's just to name a few of things that these kids are encountering. And it's
before graduation. Barriers to graduation.
Just to get them in the building. You have kids that will work until 12, 1 o'clock in the morning and then turn around and have to be in a school setting at 7, ready to learn. How?
Yeah.
How?
It makes a big difference.
It does. It does. And then for us, when I say us, the school district to pigeonhole them and say, you know what, you have to do this in 4 years, and you have to be here from 7 to 2:30 in order to get this done, and you have to, and you have to, and you have to. We need you here from 7 to 2, but do we really? What I want to know is to make sure that you are able to pass these state tests that are given, to make sure that you learn the information that was provided by your teacher, to make sure that you can matriculate through school to be either enlisted, employed, or
enrolled.
Thank you. That's it.
Yeah. It makes sense.
That's all we want to make sure that you be able to do that. So, I don't know. I don't know.
And the process, there are some school divisions who are really doing some phenomenal work around the whole teaching and learning concept. And the reality is, as we look at, like I said, social emotional learning and some of the things that we have to do, I know that some schools and teachers embrace mindfulness. That first thing in the morning,
it only takes a moment to be mindful.
Exactly, and really helping our kids to really start their day focusing on the work and being able to rid their minds of what's going on the outside. Just for that moment. It's not saying that problem still doesn't exist, but we have to get them to a place that I'm no longer thinking about my mom and dad were up all night fighting.
Yes.
I had to walk past the place where my best friend was shot 3 weeks ago.
Yes.
So
I'm hungry.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. Yes.
So there's some things that I know school divisions are doing in regards to that. And so some of the mindfulness activities and things of that nature, even when it comes to breakfast in the morning, when students leave, they're doing some backpack types of things and all. I'm always impressed when I find school divisions that do the weekend.
Yes, indeed.
Stuff.
Like we used to in COVID.
Yes.
During COVID, they used to
That was a
provide.
wonderful thing. Yes.
Yeah. So what types of things do you find yourself employing? What kind of tools do you use as a graduation specialist working with some of our most vulnerable kids?
So in the school that I'm in now, my most vulnerable kids are my Latino kids. So the things that I'm working with them is basically making sure that they are signing up so they can receive lunch, because a lot of kids are lunch and breakfast for free. So a lot of them will come to school and they're not eating. And I'm asking them why, and they're saying they don't have any money. So they're not aware of the resources that are available to them. So a bulk of my time is spent trying to make sure that they're aware of resources that are out there for them. I have children that are sitting in classroom that can't participate because they need glasses, but they don't have health insurance, but they don't realize that there are resources out there to assist them so they can have glasses so that you can learn. So that is a bunch of things that I am working with in regards to that. Then we have I don't know if you have it here, but we have a VOTEC center that is available for schools as well, which means that you can go to your high school for half a day, and then you will go to a VOTEC center where you can, become a dental hygienist or do something with cosmetology.
They have academies.
It's called academies? Okay. Academies.
Well, we have academies, but there's also, that New Horizons Educational Center that we have here. And that's where they have programs like that in terms of cosmetology, what do they call it, small engine repair and stuff like that.
Carpentry, mechanics, all of that. They're not aware of those, and it's free.
Will they have the barrier? So then once you hit them and link them to those programs, are you then looking for resources with their language barriers?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly right. So once, because a lot of times when they arrive here, some of them have already been working in carpentry. They've already been working with masonry. They've already been working inside of what have you. And so I try to get them connected with the program here. And then after that, I find out how we can help them with their language barriers so they can matriculate through that. So when they graduate in 2 or 3 years, they'll have a trade. Because a lot of them give up and quit because it's like, I can't go to college. I hardly speak English. So I know that's not an option for me. No, baby, there are options. There are options. So that's the main job for me, is to show all of our students that there's more things available to you than what you see.
But even going to college, they need to understand that the options are greater by going to college.
They are,
and more doors are open. You're more than likely to have someone who understands your language in college.
I teach from their language.
Exactly.
I couldn't agree with you more. But they just apprehensive about that because
sometimes
of their
you
English.
can't see past what you can't see.
Exactly.
What they've been exposed to, they don't know that it exists.
Exactly. And
That's the opportunity. Maybe they came from areas that were oppressed in many different ways.
Very much so. And if my parents have never been to school and now I've graduated high school, I can kick my feet up. I'm done. Or I've actually went to high school. I'm finished.
That was the expectation.
Exactly.
It's already exceeded where
I've surpassed my parents. So.
And it's really a good thing because, like you said, we're seeing a more diverse community.
Yes, sir.
And more Spanish speaking communities are emerging in this area. I remember years ago, once upon a time and a lifetime ago, I was a school counselor and worked in a school. And I remember having a young man who spoke Spanish, and he was having difficulty in a class, and I was trying to, had to call his mother in, and his mother only spoke Spanish. And so he was interpreting what I was saying to his mother.
You didn't know if he was telling her the right things or not.
Dr. Mason, now you know. He was not. Exactly. He was not.
Here's the gotcha, as I was saying things, tell your mom you're failing 3 classes, he would say
Mommy,
something.
I'm not failing.
Right, and that's basically what he was saying to her. And it was just really interesting because, the counselor in me, of course, we have to watch body language. There are other ways in which we communicate.
Right.
And so he's trying to frown his face up as he's telling his mom that he's not passing the classes. And she's smiling like, yes, see. And she's like, basically like, my baby's doing it, And I'm thinking to myself,
her response is not matching.
Exactly. I may not speak Spanish, but I know body language and I know facial expressions and all. And so I sent for the Spanish teacher. And I told her what I needed her to communicate to the mother. And when she communicated that this kid was failing 3 classes, I saw the facial expression.
That she got the message.
Yes.
She got the
what
message.
was going on, needless to say, I don't know what happened in that home, but we saw a different student,
The next day, he got
after
those
that.
chocolates.
The
Yeah.
communication.
Exactly.
The
Yes.
communication occurred. And I think that's a breakdown in a lot of relationships. That people are not communicating.
That's exactly right.
And even though you think you are, that doesn't mean it's being received with the message that you're sending out. You don't know that they're actually getting what you're actually putting
Correct.
out there.
Exactly.
Correct.
Now, I see that there's some school divisions, they have Spanish immersion programs. And that's amazing because what they're doing, they're capturing these students in elementary school, and they are basically putting them in classrooms with Spanish-speaking students and English-speaking students and all, and they're working together collaboratively. Plus, you have teachers who are basically speaking nothing but Spanish for the most part, and trying to communicate with one another. So imagine, first of all, I'm struggling in math, but now you're teaching me math in Spanish, okay? But at the same time, our students are learning. So I certainly applaud school divisions that are looking into those types of programs as well. But from a graduation specialist approach and working with those students, what's your greatest challenge?
Teaching an old dog new tricks.
Trying to get people to change and accept
Honey,
change.
say this.
Yes.
Yes.
It's difficult.
Because I have been teaching students for the past 20 years. You're not going to come in here and tell me how to teach my biology class to this student that doesn't speak English. He's just lazy. No, ma'am. He's not lazy. He
doesn't understand.
He does not understand what you're saying. I need you to go that extra mile and translate your documents for him. I need you to go that extra mile and they're just not willing. They see it as something
You
else
want
to
something
check
else
off.
from me.
Yes.
This is not in my job description.
That is not part of my job description.
It's not my specialty.
That is not, no.
Yeah.
You need to find him a tutor, a translator, or something while I focus on the other 25 kids in my classroom.
So you acknowledge it is a challenge. Yeah. So it is definitely a challenge. It does require a little bit more effort from the teacher in order to help that student adjust. But that's any student. It could be a student who had any type of disability.
And that's
or
where I was
something,
going
yeah.
next to our special education students. It's the same thing. I'm just asking for you to modify or make a small accommodation for this young person in your classroom. The same thing you would do for this young lady over here who'd have a 504. Why can't you do that same thing for this young man here? the young man, the thing that you would do over here for this young man that has an IEP, why can't you do this for him? They both want to learn. They're both in your classroom. They both should have all of you. So why are you denying one over the other? So that's the biggest thing that I run into, wall that I run into with the teaching old dogs new tricks.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think it's a lack of understanding?
For whom?
Well, when you have a teacher who doesn't understand Spanish, and I'm going to liken this to something else in a minute, but I just want to hear this side first. But is it a matter of they don't understand Spanish and they're not willing to and maybe afraid of, feeling incompetent or inferior?
So maybe I'm being naive. So how would them not understanding Spanish stop them from using a translator or what have you to give information to the student in their native language? Because if I have a worksheet that I've been using for 20 years, because I've been teaching biology for 20 years, and I just want you to hit translate on your Google document for this young man so that they can get the same information you're giving the other children in their native tongue. I don't understand how that would make me as a classroom teacher feel anxious or uncomfortable.
Because they don't understand it. And it's, you're saying I'm missing something.
Yes,
I don't get something.
Yes, I'm missing something. I am. Let me say
so you say that, and
yes,
some teachers who have been doing it so long, they're defensive in that respect.
Okay.
Like this, what are you saying? Who's going to teach me how to do this? I've been doing this.
Right.
And I know this is different. I don't know that. So sometimes people also will translate it differently. So it comes off as they're not interested, but really it's fear of the unknown. It's fear of they don't get it, or I'm not going to be, it's going to look like I don't know what I'm talking about. It's going to look like I don't know what I'm doing.
Okay.
And really it's not that student's insecurity, it's the teacher's insecurity. But our teachers are people too.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the hard part, It's one more thing I have to learn. Some people, when we make the transition from paper to computer, it's just hard for some people. Not that they don't see other people utilizing these things. It's just hard, for some people, because this is what I've always done. This is where I shine. This is where I understand it. You can't tell me anything. I know how to add these two things up. This is my comfort zone. So I'm comfortable here. This is my default. Whenever things go wrong, I can always go back to this area because this is my default setting. And you're telling them that you've been great. I appreciate what you've done, but it's not enough.
It's not enough.
And it's not enough anymore.
Wow.
And you need to be more.
Wow.
And you got to do more to be more.
Thank you for that, doctor. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times
thank you. No, really, thank you for that.
People see that as a criticism. They receive it if you're saying, I'm not enough.
And I can hear that now. Yes.
But for you, you're a straight advocate because you're in advocate mode. You're
That's
like,
exactly
my babies
right.
need this.
That's exactly
You better not treat them any differently than anybody else up in here, as if you birthed them personally. Yes, I can see you swinging through the door. You might be speaking in two or three languages. 2 or 3 languages. How dare you? I can hear you. Comfort me so.
Dr. Williams, you see me at the door.
I know they didn't just come in here and tell me that you did X, Y, Z. Like, you don't know better. You've been in education for so many years.
Okay.
And they see it as criticism, and it's really hard if you don't feel supported to learn something new. If I can barely balance what's in this one hand, and then you want to add something else, I need these 2 hands to hold what I have in my hands already.
Right.
And so sometimes it's really getting a buy-in probably from the teachers and helping them to see what it could mean for that student without them seeing that it's all on them.
Correct. I like that.
How can you assist in this transition as well? So that they don't feel like they're all by themselves. Because just like your students feel like they're out there by themselves, these teachers are going to feel like they're out there by themselves. Because most people just give instructions and just run away. Do this. Get them to pass this test. And then you're like, well, how? Pray tell how.
Yeah.
So helping them see the benefit in making those adjustments. How it's not going to just be helpful for the student, but it's also going to be great for them in their classroom environment.
But tapping into how the teachers may feel, because and the reason why I asked the question, because I liken that to when we start talking social emotional learning with educators and all, and like you said, they've been doing certain things a certain way for years, and now you want to bring up this new social emotional learning. And really, I always tell folks, social emotional learning is not anything new. I refer to it as loving kindness.
Humanity.
Exactly. But now, of course, we have put this wonderful label on it.
Labels, yes.
But it's just reminding people that they're not inadequate. And the way that it's sometimes presented, what you've been doing is not great.
Mm-hmm. You're not enough. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's all about how we package what it is that we need for our students. And like I said, if you have the right people that have gone into education because they were called, and I always say this is truly a ministry.
Hello, somebody.
It really is.
And it's about what you give, but you also got to pray for yourself. Pray for yourself, teachers. This is a ministry, because there are going to be challenges. But helping them to understand that they're not inadequate because they may not understand where a student is or where that student has come from.
Correct.
They remain inadequate if they don't go and find the resources to assist those folks,
and make those adjustments.
Amen.
Exactly.
Amen.
The goal is always about, as a teacher, how do I get this information to a level of understanding for my student?
Correct.
This may be where they're starting from, but how do I get them to where I need them to be?
Right.
Basic scaffolding.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what resources are there? It may be a situation that, as an educator, I may not have all of the answers.
Correct.
But I need to have the wherewithal to ask.
Right.
And be okay with, what?
I don't know.
Exactly.
And the desire to
learn
and to make the adjustments.
Correct.
And that takes energy.
It
And that
does.
takes purpose.
Yes.
And that takes focus and determination. And you have to want. You
To
have
do
to
that.
want to do it. You have to want
Guess-
to. We've had quite a few good educators at our table.
Oh, yes.
And we always like to have those conversations so that people can see what the difference is.
Because there is a great
Because
difference.
I heard you talking about knocking on doors
Yes,
and
ma'am.
going, that's the difference, outside of those normal hours, what it takes to get your students to be at their peak during the regular hours. It is a lot.
It is.
If you're going to do it right.
If you're going to do it right, it's not a 7 to 2 job or 8 to 3 job or whatever your hours are for teaching. It's an all, you take it home. You think about it on the weekend. They're texting you on the phone. You're checking in with them. It's exhausting and rewarding at the same time.
It's a labor of love.
It is.
And I tell you, I cannot say thank you enough to our teachers with Hampton City Schools. Every chance I get, I give them a shout out because they show up every day for our kids. And I'm really thankful for all of the hard work that they put into our school division, because we know parents send us their best, and their best may be challenging.
Yes.
That's the reality of it all. But we have to make them the best for Hampton City Schools.
Correct.
And we talk about what a portrait of a Hampton graduate looks like. And we start in kindergarten, pre-K actually, all the way through 12th grade. And so we have to work with all of our students and to get them to that place. And like I said, we have some outstanding graduation specialists that work very hard for our community. And kudos to them and shout out to them. You know who you are. But
go ahead and drop that graduation rate out there. Go ahead and let them
my
know how well
goodness,
they're doing.
because it's cute.
Listen, you have when people put in the work.
Yes.
Acknowledge that.
it.
Yeah, that they've done that, because that's what propels people to continue to do
the
that
work.
good work.
That's right.
When they know that you see that effort that they're putting in. So go ahead and throw out that graduation rate.
It's 97%.
Okay.
I'll just let it sit right there.
Yeah, just don't sit that out there. That it's also about hiring the right people.
Yes.
It's also about training the people that you hire,
Right.
and then going back and checking in to see that they're meeting the goals and the needs of the students, and showing up yourself. You can't expect more from people than you're willing to put out yourself.
You cannot. There was a great man that I served under. He used to say, "Inspect what you expect," and he used to run up and down those halls and making sure that his staff was doing what he expected them to do. If he said we had to be in the hallway at 6:45, he was there at 6:30, standing there waiting on you. And it speaks volumes because it's true. If you don't check on or check in, they're gonna check out.
That's very true.
And you can't demand more from people than you're willing to do yourself. You can't say, do as I say, not as I do. No one works well with that.
Nobody.
Because as soon as you close your eyes,
As soon
or turn
as
your back.
that's what I'm about to say. Turn your back.
Turn your back.
And
Blink an eye. It's not going to be done correctly.
No,
because
it's not.
The buy-in is not there.
No.
The honesty is not there.
No.
The real expectation is
Exactly.
not there.
You're exactly right. But I do want to hone in on something you said earlier, and I'm going to call her out by name, and that's Dr. Violet Hoyle.
Yes.
As an educator, and she basically showed you who you could become, and that speaks volumes. That speaks volumes in terms of when you are an educator. Our children are watching you.
Yes.
Representation matters.
Yes.
Exactly.
Was she African American?
She was a brown
woman?
girl. So when I say it was a mirror, I said, "Oh, I'm coming for you, boo. Here I come."
Yeah.
I mean, and I even invited her to my wedding. She came to my wedding. She knows my children. So it was crazy. At that moment, I knew
You were connected
I
with
was
her.
connected
She was
with her.
speaking your language.
And she may have not been connected to me, and it didn't matter.
I know that's right.
It didn't matter. I don't
Like
care.
you mentored
You don't
me.
know my name, but you will.
Right. That
It
in
didn't
itself
matter.
speaks volumes. You know, for our people out there, you don't always have to know the people personally. You could be mentored, vicariously through other people and things that you see them doing and watching them specifically. You can be inspired that way. And she changed your trajectory.
She did. And
She told you could do something that people really didn't do.
that's why I always monitor who I am inside of a school setting, because even though I don't know who the children are, the fact that you carry those keys, you have that walkie-talkie, you are somebody of importance, and they're watching me. They're watching how I interact with others. They watch how I walk down the hallway, how I smile, or I'm greeting them in the morning. So those small things plant seeds in their lives, and you never know how they're going to come back. Hence, Dr. Violet Hoyle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyone who touches the life of a child has the ability to influence a child in so many different directions.
And their children's children.
Exactly. And I often tell folks, it doesn't matter, what role you have in a school division, from the bus driver to the cafeteria worker to the teacher
To the
principal,
janitor,
To the
baby.
janitor, yes.
Yes, indeed.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
We need you all.
Exactly.
Yes.
Because children are watching.
They are.
The bus driver who greets them first thing in the morning. And sometimes they're the last ones to drop them off.
Exactly.
It could change their whole day.
Yes.
That how are you doing? You hurry up and get on this bus and
Hurry up,
sit down and be about your business.
Girl, you got your hair done this weekend. Come on here. You look cute. Yes.
You never
Makes a
know.
big
You never know.
difference. The custodian who reminds you, pick that up.
Yeah.
Take pride in your building. That makes a big
A
difference.
big
does.
difference.
It does.
A big difference.
It makes a big difference.
does.
The secretary who smiles
Yes.
and all. And that's the reason why I always tell you we have to appreciate every person associated with working with our kids. And I talk with parents sometimes when they're ready to go to the school and show out and and
Have mercy.
and use weekend words, as I say.
I'm going to coin that. I like that. Weekend words.
Yeah, they use those weekend words. We have to be mindful of those things.
Correct.
And be respectful. We have challenges sometimes, but there's a way to handle those
Yes.
challenges.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, the educators and the people in those buildings, they are with your children more than you are. When you think about the waking moments, our kids are on a school bus sometimes at 7 in the morning.
Yeah, if not earlier.
Exactly. And then they get home probably like 3, maybe 4.
Yes.
If they go to an after-school program, then
It could be 5:30, 6 o'clock.
Yes, yes.
So if we pick them up at 6, even if we pick them up at 5, we go home, we feed them, and they're in bed by 9.
Yes.
So that's 4 hours as opposed to what, 9,
9
10?
hours that you've been with someone, some other adult,
Exactly.
a coach,
And
a
imagine
teacher.
they don't
Yes.
speak your language.
Yeah. So getting, back to that part of it, they don't speak your language. It's like-
And I liken that to being kidnapped personally.
Oh,
That's what I
wow.
see that, being in a hostile
Very
situation.
low.
I'm telling you,
Listen.
Kidnapping kids.
I feel like if we're not speaking the same language and you're holding me hostage somewhere,
Oh, wow.
that's how I look at it. And you want me to be in this seat, behave, and I don't even understand what that means.
I don't even know what you're
To me, that's
asking
the-
me.
Hello,
Yes.
somebody.
Lord have
Then you
mercy.
feeding me food. This don't look like the food I like. I don't
That
understand. And then you telling me I can't go to the bathroom. I need to go back. It's a lot. So
Lord have mercy.
I'm trying
That's
not
a whole
to.
nother phone
Hello,
call.
somebody. Okay.
The kid's gonna say I'm being held hostage and fed stuff I don't even know about.
But that's how kids are anyway. They see things differently than we see them as adults anyway.
yes.
We're saying go here because this is the law.
Right.
We
And
want
they're
you
like,
to learn, and this is where you need to be. To them, they're like, you need to do more explaining to me as to why I need to sit in this room. I don't know what they're
It's
saying.
right. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing here.
I've never heard it put like that.
You know I'm a little extra.
The schools are holding kids hostage.
Not your school. Not your school.
Not
But
your
I'm
school.
saying
Yeah.
those who are not fulfilling the needs of their students, that's what it could feel like to them. Yeah, so not that they're doing that necessarily, because we need our babies to learn.
We do need to
But
learn.
if you're not in an environment that you can learn, you're
Right.
not learning.
Or if you came from an environment where they didn't go to school in such a structured way. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
My question I have before we get out of here, because we don't have but so much time, we're going to have you come back and have more of a
I
conversation.
would love to.
But what are some tips that you would give someone who didn't want to go into teaching the language? Because you shared with us a little bit off air that if you wanted to go and teach in college, that now with your degree, that would be more of a challenge with you. So what are some tips that you would want to share, or something that, a nuance that you could share with someone who may be interested in learning foreign languages and teaching it?
Okay, so if you want to learn a foreign language, I would have to piggyback on what Dr. Mason said earlier about finding a school division in the Tidewater area that does the dual enrollment and enroll your kids there. Because what they are doing is that they're doing what they do half and half. So half the day is in one language and the other half of the day is in another language. So in the morning, like he said, I'll have math and English and Spanish. And then in the afternoon, I have science and social studies in English. And the whole day is structured that way. And so they know from 7 to 11, we're speaking in Spanish. And from 11 to 3, we're going to speak in English. And everyone in the classroom signs on to that so that you are fully immersed in the language and you will be bilingual by the time you matriculate from kindergarten to 6th grade.
But the parents may not understand
The parents
what
are
their
not
kids are saying.
No, the parents are not going to understand what their kids are saying. But once they get inside of X elementary school, everybody is speaking Spanish and
Yeah.
English. So it's a beautiful place like that. So, but if you want to be a foreign language teacher, the only thing I can say is for you to, there are some programs that are available to those of us who are not in the education career to go study abroad during the summer and during the winter. So like in the month of December, you can go to, you choose any country you want to, and you would go to a college there, take the courses, and that way you can get a master's in said foreign language, and then you'll be able to, teach Spanish here at the high school level or in higher education. I wasn't able to do that, but yeah, that's what I would tell those who want to be able to teach Spanish here on stateside.
So I just can't do a little Duolingo.
No. If you know what? If you want to go and have salsa dancing on Wednesdays and Thursdays, Duolingo will do that for you.
Okay.
But if you want to teach in front of some students, no, that's not gonna cut it. It's not gonna cut it.
You may understand.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
You'll be able to converse.
Where's the bathroom? Mm-hmm. Can I have some more food, please? Yes.
Yeah.
Then that's it. Yeah.
I remember, my wife and I, we were taking a trip, and so we were going to a place where Spanish was the native language and all, and so we started doing the Duolingo, and so I took Spanish in high school, and I actually took Spanish in college.
Okay, Dr. Mason.
Right? However,
Okay.
The use of that language, I have not used it, to be totally honest and transparent. And so when we started the whole Duolingo app on the phone, just kind of practicing and going back, some of it came back to me. It really did. It came back to me. Now, here's the gotcha. When we got to where we were going, of course, trying to use what we were learning, it was.
You abandoned it?
Yeah, I did. I did. I started
because it wasn't scripted.
Right. I started pointing to stuff.
Yeah.
Can I have this? Yeah, chicken.
I am so mad at you. I'm so thrilled.
Yeah, chicken. I love it.
Wow. Just wow. But that's why we needed to have this conversation, because when we know better, we can do better.
Yes.
And definitely encourage our babies to learn outside of the box.
Yes.
So they can impact things in outside of the box.
Yes.
Yeah.
But see, you know me, when it comes to that box thing, I always tell folks, I don't believe there is a box.
There it is.
That's it. And when we put learning in a box with that mindset, we've just eliminated a whole lot of other things.
Oh,
That's
wow.
even saying there is a box.
Amen.
We are still limiting ourselves.
Amen.
So the fact that,
But and
there
I
is
agree
no
with that,
box.
but society, unfortunately, that's what they do to us, do they not? They force us into labels and categories.
They do.
To understand things. We get comfort when we can do those things and know what it is.
Because you want control. That's why.
well, I believe you can be anything you want to be, in life, and I will continue to preach that to young folks.
If you work hard.
Exactly.
If you're
Now,
willing to work hard.
Yes.
only thing I always say, a turkey can't be no bacon. Bacon is only for
We
the pig,
agree.
all right?
We agree that God did not call. We agree.
I don't know who told
God
him.
did not call him.
Who told him
Amen.
turkey to eat some bacon?
No, you cannot. Amen.
We believe in real bacon.
And
from
real pork sausage.
Real pork. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right
Yes.
here at the table, that's what we believe
That's
in.
exactly right.
And that's all you're going to get here with the good doctor. So if you come sit at our table, just know you're going to get pork bacon.
Pork bacon.
All right?
Crispy pork
I'm not
bacon.
going to make you eat it, but it will be served.
Amen,
Yes.
Amen. So once again, I am Dr. Richard Mason.
This is Dr. Tamara Williams.
And thank you for joining us right here at the table at WHOV Smooth 88.1.
The essence of HU.
Keep your fork.
Someday we'll be able to measure the power of words. I think they are things. I think they get on the walls. They get in your wallpaper. They get in your rugs, in your upholstery, in your clothes, and finally into you.
Thank you for joining us at the table.
Tune in next Sunday at 1 p.m. for more delicious topical recipes for life on the Sunday Brunch.
On Smooth 88.1 WHOV.